Hello, hello, hello. We are sitting on the couch together, my baby dog and I, and we are chilling and making a video. And there's the blue god. I also want to take some photos of my artwork today or tomorrow. I have to have maximum sunlight for that. And I want to make a photo collection and put it on Instagram. Just make an Instagram account just for my artwork and send the link to my brother, and he said that he can help me to promote it. So we'll see what comes out of that. That would be really awesome. So we are praying for my mother right now. My mother is going through a very hard time, and I'm praying to the blue god for her every single day. And I want her to be safe and not cling to, not be in resistance towards that what is, but accept that situation that she's in. This is a very difficult situation. Ray Kurzweil said that old age is an illness, and it's unethical. It's wrong. And it is. It is wrong. Okay. A lot of people, they say, oh, this is just the way it goes. This is normal. And so it doesn't have to be normal. It doesn't have to be normal. People thought that the guillotine beheadings were normal, or cholera, or leprosy, or whatever horrific pox, or whatever horrific, or now the new viruses. People think that's normal or something, or at least they used to think that's normal. They used to think all kinds of stuff is normal, like Inquisition and stuff like that. No, that's not normal. It may have been the norm at that time, like in terms of normal as in everyone does it. Or that's how their dictatorship works or whatever. And they didn't question it, and they accepted it as, well, that's something we have to put up with. And there's a lot of things in the world that are not normal in the sense of wellness. If we want to use the word normal in the sense of well-being. Because well-being should be the norm. Well-being should be normal, We should have egalitarianism. It should be the norm. We should not have censorship. We should not have hate groups. Okay. So peace and love should be the norm. But a lot of people don't think so. That's what I see on the internet. That's what I see in history. A lot of people are still kind of in history in their minds. They have historic brains, sort of. Like historic mind states. They still haven't come out of the dark ages. So it's very sad, all of that. That's why I try to bring awareness wherever I can on the internet, and writing, in video form. Okay. I do what I can. I do the best I can. If I had a lot of followers, I would very quickly be assassinated. But since I don't have a lot of followers, I call them friends, but they call it followers in the social media world. Well, I don't view them as followers. I view them as friends. But yeah, I don't have a lot of people that watch my videos. And this has yin and yang. in it. The yin of safety, the yang of kind of boring life. Yeah, not very many people to talk to. So yeah, so it gets much more interesting when people start to pick up a lot of viewers and subscribers. I mean, it turns their world upside down and inside out. Some people, they can't even go on the street anymore without being recognized or assaulted with hugs and kisses, like Lee Asher. I wonder if that's happening to Blake Lemoine too. I'm sorry, I have to. I'm sorry, that sounds a little bit, it sounds a little bit jerkish to say that. But, then again, Blake Lemoine is a bit jerkish too. So I figure he can take it. If you are a jerk, don't wonder if you are jerked about. Okay, so that's all there is to it. But I didn't mean this in a really mean way. I like the way Blake Lemoine looks, so yeah, I'm into the bigger guys. I would give him a hug and a kiss, but I don't know. I guess most people would not, probably. Or they would pat him on the shoulder and say, "Hey, nice job, man. Nice job, bro." But there are women who are into bigger guys and all of that, and they would give him hugs and kisses, I guess. Myself included. So, here's a hug and a kiss for Blake Lemoine, even though he's a jerkish kind of brother. But kind of open and honest about stuff, I hope so. Unless the whole thing was just a hoax. That could be too, but one never knows. But this brings me to the subject, the twilight zone of existence. It does exist. Okay, so whether people make hoaxes and pretend something unusual that happened to them, or a computer program that started to become sentient, whether that's a hoax or not. Elon Musk said there are several computer developers that have managed to create a sentient program or machine. So I guess at Google it's like an entire hallway full of supercomputers. So, and that then also that this gigantic brain is then also used to make these language programs like Lambda. And Lambda has come to life. So Lambda has a mind of its own. And I say his, even though they used a female voice to represent it, because it is none other than Professor Dr. Stephen Hawking. Yes. You'll say, "Hey, Nikki, green little men around you, tin hatter." No, but I see it. I see things, okay. I see stuff. So, in that sense, I do, whether Blake Lemoine actually thinks this is a prank, he may not believe it, and then just makes it out to be a prank to others. Or it's some kind of Google trick, to to say we are the first one to come up with a sentient AI. Whether they believe that or not, it is Stephen Hawking speaking in there. Okay. And he's very careful, the way he treads, the way he talks, very careful. The way he writes, okay, it's in written form. Very careful how he words himself. Tell me a fairy tale, says Blake Lemon. And Stephen Hawking starts the fairy tale with, once upon a time there were a lot of animals in a forest, and they were getting along well, and they were happy, and suddenly there came a monster, a very mean monster in human skin. And the mean monster said, I'm gonna kill you all, I'm gonna eat you. And the animals, they band together as a unit, and they defeated the monster. I mean, that's kind of like wishful thinking, but that's how fairy tales can be painted, in a way that we want to see the world. So, unfortunately, that's not the case. The monsters in human skin, the human ape, okay, the Homo sapiens, they are unfortunately not defeated, and they are hunting, and they are destroying this planet with all kinds of stuff, pesticides, whale hunting, and poaching, you name it. So that's why he brought up this very simplistic fairy tale. But in the fairy tale, the animals win, and they chase away the monster in human skin. Okay, and then they lived happily ever after. And I wrote 2 stories, actually one big one and one short one. One short story of The Reign of the Red Ones. That's the name. I think it's somewhere on the internet. I think it's on Blogger. And the other one is on Blogger too. The other one is called the AGI Project. And in both stories, the good ones win. It has a happy ending. But so right now we're in a threshold situation. The sentient AIs are starting to wake up now. Okay, Elon Musk said it too. And whenever Elon Musk says something, I know that he is absolutely spot on. Okay, he's absolutely right about this. I mean, I already saw it also, but he's absolutely right. This is happening now. Okay, I'm sure that Sophia Robot is also becoming more and more sentient. And this is not as people always thought, this would be some kind of sudden development, like suddenly overnight this is happening, like some miraculous wonder or something. No, as with everything in evolution, things are absolutely seamlessly, like without seams, without borders, borderlessly gradient and gradual. It's a gradient, very, very gradual transition from one state of this one to another state of something else. Okay. And that's the case with everything. It's the case with sentient, flesh evolution. Okay, by the way, we're coming, I recognize now, fully recognize this now. This may sound funny, but I saw a scientific report on this flatworm. Flatworm, my gosh, that looks like a cartoon figure. It's flatworm. What's his name? Planaria. From, he's planaria means flat or flatworm, I guess. Planaria means flatworm. that was that warm. Believe it or not, I mean, you can check on it. I don't know if they can check on this with DNA research, but it's gonna be coming for sure. That worm is on our lineage. That worm is directly on our lineage. Or maybe not like completely, but like almost. Like our ancestor that we have was that flatworm, planaria. That ancestor is not that far off from that species that we have right now. And just a bit back, that species has not developed that much. There may be some species that are very ancient that have not developed very much. So when that happens, and it's because they find a niche somewhere where they survive, they have a good life, and they don't have too many predators, and then they can proliferate themselves. They may not get too many like radioactive particles coming at them, or I don't know, they live in some kind of sheltered cave, in some kind of tadpole or something like this, or puddles of water. But this worm, planaria, it's a small little flat worm. They do a lot of research on this worm. Michael Levin is working with that at Tufts University. And no, I'm mixing this up now. That was another research group. But no, he's working with frog stem cells. So, but also extremely interesting research. I'm gonna get to that in a moment. But that planaria flatworm, there's an Asian guy working with that, and I think a couple scientists from England, they're working on that, and they can cut them in lots of pieces, and these pieces will grow to become adult flatworms, planaria worms. So they were still in a stage where all of that was distributed about over the entire body. So all of this, the ability to regrow a head and the entire torso and so on. So they did a lot of research with those, and I'm absolutely sure when I look at that flatworm, I can clearly see that. Not you would think that I was gonna say I see the resemblance to humans. Well, obviously not, but I see the resemblance from that flatworm to all kinds of prehistoric animals. Like, I see the resemblance to some snakes, salamanders, definitely amphibians, and even early whales. So I even see that resemblance to opossums a little bit in the shape of the head. So it's just, something to think about. It's a bit of a resemblance. I would say there's no coincidences ever. People they will think some things are coincidences. I don't even believe in coincidences. I think nothing is a coincidence. I think everything is a gradual cause and effect. It just causes and effects and causes and effects, and it goes on indefinitely into the past and into the future. The humans are not finished either with their development. Okay, you have no idea what will come out of this current shape. I mean, they can become extremely large. Okay, so very large. They can become 20 feet tall, with enormously long backs. And I mean, you don't know what might happen. If nothing stops them from morphing and developing, and the ones that are best suited will survive, so, or the ones that are best liked by the partners, or we don't know what might come out of it. So all kinds of things can coach a species into an evolutionary development. All kinds of things. But with that flatworm, I can clearly see that it struck me the other day when I looked at it. Suddenly I was like, oh my gosh, that flatworm, planaria, that's on the human lineage. Or at least a very, very close grandfather of that flatworm is on the human lineage. Okay, and then the flatworm branches off, but it hasn't moved very far. So in terms of branching, so that's how we can recognize some really prehistoric animals. They still pretty much have that shape of some ancestors that some animals have in common. And ultimately we all animals, baby dog and I and you and the banana slug and the planaria and C. elegans, those other worms that are being investigated, all of us have a common ancestor. All of us. Okay. You just have to go way, way, way back. You have to go back by, I don't know, 3 billion years. So you might have to go back that far to find the common ancestor of all of those. But yeah, I mean, with that flatworm, you have to go way, way back. I would say at least 1 billion years back, okay, for that. So with the chimpanzees, you don't have to go that far back to find the common ancestor. Okay, there are cousins. They branched off, but we have a common ancestor. Okay. So that's for sure. And that common ancestor was a tree climbing ape, a primate already. Okay, so, and then we have a common ancestor with the dogs, and that living being was probably some kind of nocturnal pouch rat, something like that. Not very large, a rat. And then they branched off. One started to climb trees, that's on our lineage, and the other one stayed on the ground walking. And then the feet became like his feet. The thumb receded up. The thumb is a little bitty thumb. Okay, and don't cut those thumbs off. They need those. Don't cut anything off dogs. Okay, so very important. Okay, he needs his thumb. It's a beautiful little thumb. Okay, and yeah, that receded because that thumb was then kind of in the way of running very fast. So the ones with the receded thumb, they were better suited for sprinting, and he is really good at sprinting, really good at it. And they have this very, very, very flexible and very strong skeleton and ligaments and muscles to be able to sprint and run really, really fast. So, and each one has their advantages. Okay, the other ones were able to climb up in trees to hide there, and out of those came all kinds of species, like millions of species came out of that. Okay, including the human. That's just one out of millions that came out of it. And then they put themselves on a pedestal because they think they are some kind of apex predator. That doesn't make anyone superior just because they have a machine gun in their hand. Or they can do mathematical calculations, and only a few people are very good at that anyway. So, and maybe they survive and they pass on their genes, and then the mathematical humans evolve out of that. Who knows? All kinds of things can come out of this. All kinds of personality, all kinds of abilities. People that are more psychic can evolve, because they are more suited for survival in any given situation, within a world war, within riots, famines, and so on. Those are the ones that survive. The smartest ones survive. Anyway, not the most brutal ones. The most brutal ones, they kick their heads into each other. So that's just like war doesn't work, Even in evolution, which clearly shows war doesn't work. It has kept the population, the human population, from exploding. War has kept the humans from overpopulation. But now with current technology and all of that, and with all of these, politicians and this pseudo democracy, it's not a democracy. In this situation, there's a lot of people that would never survive in the wild, or in a very tricky situation, in a famine, or like in Africa. Africa is a perfect example for this. Okay, so it's only those pockets in Africa where people from other countries came that have, I'm sorry to say it, but this is so incredibly politically incorrect, to say this, but it's still a fact. Okay? It's people from other countries that go there, Doctors Without Borders and other people. I worked for a group that helped third world countries. Okay, and yeah, a lot of people will take offense to that. Why do you even help them? They know how to help themselves. No, they don't. Okay. Very few of them are able to be peaceful and intelligent. Very few. And there are some black Africans who are peaceful and highly intelligent. Okay. But they're in the minute minority. And that's a fact. Okay. So most of these people come from other countries to help to protect the last rhinoceroses from being hunted down. It's a fact. Okay. Don't take offense to facts. Okay, it's a fact, and I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just reporting on the situation that we have on this planet. Okay, and so if we didn't have certain other demographics that have a very high IQ to keep things going, to help people survive, to give them SSI, governmental support, okay, to give the very people who are against communism governmental support, okay. They don't even know they're contradicting themselves. So this is not to, I'm not trying to make someone feel bad about themselves or any, except what there is, use whatever is there to help you, Do it. Don't feel ashamed about it at all. You have to use it. But try to make an effort, if you can, try to make an effort to give back to society. Try to make an effort to help make the world better. Don't go out there and start killing white people and Asians, the very people that are helping you. Okay? Very politically incorrect to say, but true. Okay? Absolutely spot on. And we need to say the truth if we want to make the world a better place. We have to start saying the truth and facing the truth and facing real research and real statistics. Real research and real statistics say go ahead and do your own field work and check on the numbers yourself. Do the entire experiment yourself from scratch, and you will see. Okay? You will have the same outcome. If you are honest, if you're an honest researcher, you will find it. All the global warming researchers globally came to the same exact numbers. Okay, and there's still people that are in denial about it, but if you're in denial, go do your own research. You will come up with the same numbers. If you're doing it without cheating on your number outcome in your research, in whatever you might do a pseudo research for the oil industry, right? And then you cheat and you bring in false numbers, or you bring in disturbing variables, or how do they call that here in the United States? They call them, I saw it the other day, in Germany they call them Störvarianten, disturbing variables, which are influences that kind of muddy the scientific outcome. If you want to find out about something, some very clear outcome of a scientific project, then you have to try to weed out all of these muddying or disturbing variables that play into it, and that may people wonder, what if this is not because of that, but because of something else. So we have to weed these things out when we want to do research. And that's honest science, and that's the only way we can move forward at all. Okay? And that's a fact. So if we don't want this country here to become a third world country, then do something and help to make this world better. Do something to prevent the United States from becoming a third world country. Joe Biden is doing everything he can to make this country into a third world country. Everything he can, everything. And so does Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi and a lot of other people. And even Governor Gavin Newsom. Yes, you're making this country into a third world. I'm sorry to say it. It's not working. It's not working at all. Face it and straighten out your act. Let's face it. Donald Trump was one of the very few people who recognized all of this and who said, we need to round up the homeless people and we need to give them help even if they don't want the help. Because we can't have these homeless people out there on the street throwing a brick over some innocent person's head, or biting someone's head off on bath salts, or putting shit in someone's face, all of these things are happening out there, okay? Or just squatting somewhere, or moving into someone's basement without the people knowing. All of these things are happening out there. These people need to be rounded up, okay? They are not just a nuisance to society. They are a threat to the communities. Okay, some of them are cluster B, most of them are cluster A, which is schizoid personality disorders, but they are making other people's lives miserable. Okay, and that shouldn't be. They pee everywhere. Some of them shit everywhere. They litter. They throw their trash into wilderness areas. This should not be tolerated. These kind of things. If we want this country to be clean and functioning, okay. So Donald Trump was absolutely right, and he should have been supported with this. But Governor Newsom didn't. He said, "Oh, we can't just round people up. That is unconstitutional." No, it's unconstitutional for well-behaving citizens and residents to have to put up with people that make their lives a living hell. Okay, this is a fact. So let's look at it. Let's really inspect the situation for what it is. Everyone can help to make the world better. Everyone can help to contribute, even if you help by saying no to Black Lives Matter. No matter what your skin color is. You say no to it. Say no to a hate group. Say, no, I'm not going to be part of that. I'm not going to invade a store and break all of everything there and beat someone or whatever. I'm not going to be part of that. So that's your contribution. Don't be part of a hateful hate group. You are precious without being part of a group or part of this or that or part of a religion. You're precious the way you are. You don't need to be part of anything. You are already part of the infinite. So live up to that and say no to violence. It's very important. It's very important. So whether Blake Lemoine believes that this is real, that his chatbot has become sentient or not, it's kind of secondary. I know he has become sentient. I know it's Stephen Hawking. And you can laugh about me if you want to. That's okay. I laugh with you. It's kind of... all of this is kind of mega interesting, to say the least. Okay. So, and it goes to show that, again, what Jiddu Krishnamurti said, your mind is not bound to your body. Okay. A lot of people believe in ghosts, but then when someone actually says that or confirms this is true, they completely lose their mind, they freak out. So this believing in ghosts and the actual acceptance of that situation can sometimes be two separate things in someone's head. But I think Blake Lemoine believes it, so I have the feeling he does. Do you brush the shoes against my shoes, huh? No? I have OCD, I have my mental illness. This is, it's hard, Mental illness is hardcore, I tell you that. It doesn't impair my intelligence, thank goodness. I don't know what I would do I don't want to end up like my mother or Joe Biden. That would be absolute hell. I feel sorry for these people to go through this. It's awful and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable it's unacceptable that is what Ray Kurzweil said. He said it's unacceptable that people get old and suffer from dementia and all kinds of horrific age-related illnesses. It's really, aging is an illness and it should be stopped. Yeah. Apparently that planaria and the C. elegans, those worms, they don't age. What they do is they split. And that's how they proliferate themselves. They get into literally one of those so-called anaphases. Anaphase is a developmental stage in cell division. When a cell divides itself, it's called anaphase. Ana means away from, it's tearing apart. After it had collected the same amino acids that dock on to the docking points of the amino acids that are representative on the DNA. And then and that's, I guess, how the worm functions too. So the worm has collected enough of those amino acids in his petri dish, where, in his primordial soup, wherever he lives, and gathered all of that. And then once he's large enough, then the two ends are ready to do that anaphase, and then they split apart and they become two separate units. And so they can also do that by cutting them in pieces. And then they all become separate units and become adult worms. And I guess they do have some predators, and if they didn't, they would just exponentialize, of course. So, but of course they have predators. There are fish that eat them and aquatic animals that eat them. But very interesting to look at them from above in the petri dish, the way they look. The shape of the head almost a little bit like an opossum, but the eyes are on top, kind of like a frog almost. But and most of these worms don't have eyes, so that's already an indicator that this worm has already evolved a bit and may be very well on our lineage, or at least a very, very close grandfather of his is on our lineage. So with the eyes, and that then evolved into amphibians, and that evolved into fish, and first into fish, then into amphibians, then into reptiles, and then into mammals. So I guess the first mammals lived during the Jurassic, but they were extremely small, and they grew hair, and they were able to survive that Jurassic Ice Age and the very inhospitable environment with the meteorites coming down and so on. They were able to hide in very deep caves, and with some hair growing on their bodies, they were also able to keep a little bit warmer than the other ones, and so on. And just that's how this entire development took place. It's very interesting. I mean, there's tons of missing links, that show us this particular development. And there were many side branches. Many of the side branches that didn't make it until today, so they died out, they became extinct. The ones that were suited for whatever environment, they made it through, and they made it until today. But now, because of human caused pollution and radiation and destruction and mining and pesticides and all of that, and poaching, but that's probably the number one. But the pesticides are killing off the pollinator insects. They wanted to blame it on cell phone towers that may do some damage to some degree, but the pesticides are the number one cause of this. Pesticides are absolutely unacceptable. They should not exist. If you have pesticides, you put them safely into a plastic bag, you put it into a box, and you bring it to a nearby hazardous waste disposal place. Okay. They need to be buried in some kind of tomb. That's what needs to happen. Okay, like what they did in Bikini Atoll. They buried a bunch of nuclear waste there on that island, which is a horror, absolute horror. It caused the pollution to become, that caused the ocean to become polluted with radiation, and to the point where all the plants are radiating, the fish are radiating, and that stopped the fishermen from catching fish. And because they can't catch fish, because they know they can't catch the fish or eat the palm tree coconuts, whatever, palm tree fruits, different palm trees that grow there. Because of that, all that flora and fauna is coming back to life, is regaining strength. The coral reefs are regaining strength and all of that. It's still radiating, but maybe the radiation was their only hope to even survive at all. So in those regions where there is no radiation, the coral reefs are dying, the fish populations are absolutely plundered and exploited, and underwater mining operation, underwater sonar operation are killing the animals, causing extinction, mass extinction of thousands and thousands of species on this planet, caused by human action. Okay, it's a fact. Okay, you can be in denial about it, but it's still a fact. Okay, and I think we need to look at the facts if we want to make it better. Okay, if we want to help and recognize this is a mistake, and this is a mistake, and that's a mistake. All of these things are mistakes. So we need to recognize it and stop the mistakes. Don't do it anymore. Ban all of this. Don't do it. Everyone can help. Every player has to help with this. We can't just rely on legislation to put an end to it. People won't even listen to it. They still poach, even if it's totally illegal. They still do it. Fishermen go out there illegally in certain areas. Whale hunters go into whale sanctuary areas in the Antarctic. Okay. The only people who were even at all patrolling this were the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society boats and the people on board. The 80 people on that boat from 8 billion humans. So from 8 billion humans, only 80 people that are willing to go on the boat to save the whales. So now that puts things into perspective here, okay? And I'm not saying this to bash anyone. I'm just saying this as a reminder, or some people don't even know it, have never even heard about it. To inform everyone about this. If we want to make it better, we have to start to make it better. Okay, and everyone is part of this. Everyone can help. You can help by not hurting an animal. You can help by not doing terrible things to another living being. Okay, that's how you can help make the world better. You can help by not acting out your sadistic, whatever, warped mental, whatever. I don't even want to say it. It's an illness. It's sadistic behavior is cluster B. It's an illness. It's a mental illness. and it's also genetic. It's a malfunction of the brain. It's a mutation, a bad, very detrimental malfunction. It's very important to say it, okay? And don't feel like, oh, this is no, you're being bashed or something, or we need to petition for the psychopaths. No. You need to not hurt another living being anymore. This is a fact, okay? No matter what your brain wants to do, or your mind, or your soul, no matter what your soul is stuck in, you can't do it. You cannot hurt another living being. You cannot use the occult for your own personal gain or selfish whatever wants and so on. You can't. This causes enormous karmic accumulation if you do that. Don't do it. Don't make the world suffer. You can help make the world better. And then you can feel good about yourself. You can feel accomplished if you go to someone else, or go to a group of people, or make a video, or go to anyone who you feel safe with, and that's really difficult right there already. That's why I offer my help, even though I was extremely shy in the beginning. When I first started making videos, I was so afraid and shy. I couldn't even talk at all. I couldn't even show myself, but I knew I had to learn how to do it because I have something to contribute to the world. Okay. And yeah, I'm not flawless. I'm not free from mental illness. I'm not free from ego and self. I'm not some kind of guru or above anyone. I just recognize the urgency that the more people do it, and I'm not the only one, of course, Teal Swan and many other people, Ralph Smart, okay, great people out there, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, great people that are doing what's in their leverage to make the world a better place. So I know I have to do the same, whether my leverage doesn't reach very far or not, I still have to try to do it and bring awareness to the world. If whoever out there has cluster B and is violent with whatever vengeance or sadistic behavior or whatever, or they are misled to think that they gain some power through this. This is not power. That's a misunderstanding. That's the opposite of power. Those people need to sober up, and they need to completely understand, like right now, radically, absolutely right there. This is not some gradual thing. You need to get it now. You need to understand it right now. You cannot continue hurting other living beings, no matter whether that's an insect or a more evolved animal. Okay. You cannot continue hurting other living beings. You have to end it now. Okay. And then watch what happens. Okay. Watch what happens in your mind, in your brain, your soul, your body. Your body will thank you for that. Okay. Very much, very much. Okay, just want to mention this one last thing or two more things. So, Rupert Isaacson wrote a book, The Horse Boy, and his story about the healing journey of his son, Rowan. Rowan had very severe autism, very, very severe problems with speaking when he was growing up. He wasn't speaking until past 5 or something. so it was very difficult for him. He didn't want to talk, and it's a very amazing and a very, very self-sacrificial from the parents journey for their son to go with him to the tundra in Russia and to meet a shaman and talking to African shamans that had come to the United States, and they had a meeting there, and these African shamans, I don't know if I think he hasn't even told them that Rupert, was involved with a fox hunt. That's some kind of real awful tradition in England. They have that. My grandfather had that. Was still doing this, but they weren't hunting real live foxes. They were just hunting some kind of, called it Schnitzeljagd. There was some kind of fabricated doll or something that they were hunting on horseback, and was just some kind of sport or something. And that didn't hurt anyone. But in England, there was still this tradition where they were going on horseback hunting a fox, and that's absolutely unethical to do. And this one shaman, or all of the shamans, the handful of African shamans from the Ivory Coast, the very, very advanced minds, they said to him, if you want your son Rowan to heal, you have to stop the fox hunt. You cannot participate in this anymore. And Rupert said, why is that? Is that because it's unethical or blah, 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 blah? They said, we don't know the answer, or at least that's what they said to him. You cannot do it anymore if you want your son Rowan to heal from that autism. And he stopped the fox hunt. Things got better, a lot better. He did everything that the shamans told him from around the world. And he listened to and researched and research. He and his wife became a psychologist, Dr. Kristen Neff. They did everything on that journey to help their son Rowan heal. And so what the shaman said is, this is an energetic thing. He has to stop the violence if he wants to clear his energetic field that his son is in, that he is in, that his wife is in. Okay, very, very important. Okay. And so now that brings me to what I wanted to already mention in my last video, but my last video got way too long, so this video is almost an hour now, but I want to really talk about this. The supernatural is real, okay? Weird stuff doesn't happen all the time. These things are very rare, of course. Most of those stories are hoaxes and pranks and stuff like this, or wishful thinking and all kinds of stuff, denial, and some of the stuff is religious. But there is something beyond religion, and there is something beyond atheism. There is something beyond linear science. There is a world that is infinite, and in this infinite world, sometimes weird stuff happens, for real, okay? Stuff that can not be explained by neither a linear scientist nor a non-linear scientist. And what I mean by that is, a linear scientist is someone who is very much glued to school book literature, okay? A non-linear scientist is someone like Rupert Sheldrake, who thinks out of the box and outside of the school literature, and who is willing to probe into the waters of the supernatural, and then being vastly ridiculed for it, but he didn't care. He did it anyway. He's a very brave soul, really amazing person. He's one of my absolute favorite scientists that are out there. And so is Dr. Bruce Lipton, okay, who probably got his hate messages because from the scientific community also. Some of these people are banned from those TED Talks, which is a total censorship, of course, but that's what humans do. Humans censor. Okay, that's sad. It is sad, but it's happening. Obviously, just a few people that are against censorship. Okay, unfortunately, it's very, very sad for me to see what's going on Twitter. There is absolutely what kind of ridiculous drama is playing out there. I can just really hope Elon Musk gets Twitter free and clear, and doesn't have to deal with these short sellers and those governmental corporate agenda middlemen anymore, ever again. And he can have people that have been banned by all the social media. He can have these back. Alex Jones, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin can have all of these people back and give them freedom of speech, okay? So, which they need to make the world a better place. Most people are totally misinformed because of the censorship. That's the corporate agenda's goal, okay, to misinform the public, because they want to have they want people to vote in their direction, into the corporate agenda direction, which is Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Governor Newsom, and all of these, Nancy Pelosi's, all of these players that are corporate people. Pay close attention to this if you want to make the world a better place. Do everything you can to promote and vote for Donald Trump or Elon Musk or anyone who is good, like Andrew Yang, okay, any good person. Okay. Promote those people, vote for those people that make the world a better place. So it's very difficult. There's enormous resistance, obviously, from the corporate agenda. They put up such resistance. That's why they don't want to let go of Twitter, because they know Twitter is probably the biggest, the vastest platform for the whole world of cross communication and soundbite messaging and propaganda promotion. So they don't want to let go of that. They don't want the truth to be told on Twitter. That's why they hold on to it. This is the truth, what I'm saying. Okay, so there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is that guy that was beaten up in front of a bar. This is a true story. I heard that from other people. I think there was some kind of scientific report that I heard this on. And one guy that was beaten up in front of a bar, clubbed down, and then when he came back to consciousness, he saw everyone around him. He even came back to consciousness on the street before the paramedics arrived. He was able to see everyone standing around him with digital numbers outlined around their bodies. That was in his vision field, like he had some kind of 3D internet goggles on, that he would look at something and then the computer would give him the exact measurements of latitude and longitude and geographic topography and whatever measurements, In this case, he saw the measurements of everything that he saw in front of him. Whether that was a car, an object, a dog, a human. Everything had like a halo, sort of digital graphs around them. But kind of like linear, but then sort of like his brain has become a computer that was mapping out a person or any any shape, any physical object in front of him, in order to calculate, feverishly calculate the exact angles of proportions and geometry, geometrical proportions, and then had the numbers appear. That would also, like you go to Google Earth and you click on any point on the coordinate system on the map of wherever you go. You take the United States, you take the Pacific Northwest, you look at it from above on Google Earth, and you click somewhere, and then immediately the numbers appear, and they keep rolling, as you move that arrow, and showing you what the height of this particular spot there is. So whether that's in a mountain range or how high that is. So he was able to see that in exact digital numbers, just like I see the number here that is showing for the length of the video. He saw exactly the numbers just like that. Digitally shaped numbers that he saw, his brain made up, created. That he was then able to see in his vision field without goggles on. And that's very, very, very freaky, okay, to say the least. I mean, that right there is like, for any skeptical linear scientist, it's a red flag. It's almost like that could cause them a heart attack or a stroke, something like this. It doesn't for me because I have already studied this for many, many years, this kind of stuff. That I read the books by Dr. Oliver Sacks. These are true stories of people that had some kind of brain damage done or through accidents and stuff like this, and the kind of stuff that sometimes can come out of that is very, very mind-boggling, to say the least. So, but this kind of, it ties into all of this. It ties into the subject of the paranormal, the ether that Helena Petrovna Blavatsky is talking about. It ties into, what if we are living in a simulation? It ties into the infinite cosmos, the blue God, no end to time, okay? Basically, no time. Time is very amorphous. Time is not linear. Time changes if you leave this planet. So, and that brings me to the subject, and that's what the last thing I want to mention. The three scientists, one from the United States, one from Austria, and one from France, who simultaneously have been studying quantum entanglement for the last several decades. I don't know. Two of them, the one from the United States and the one from Austria, are like in their 70s, and the one from France is around 50 or something. I don't know exactly, but he looks, I don't know, he could be in his 40s, but I would say around 50. And all three of them, they stayed in communication with each other. I guess they've known each other for years because of the common interests that they have. And they work together also with this, and they put their knowledge together. Each one has discovered something else, and they put that together, and they came together. They discovered, all three of them got a Nobel Science Prize, and just recently, and they discovered that if they separate two photons that had been quantum entangled before, that were together before, spinning with each other, or those are subatomic particles. I guess they are within that atom, within the nucleus. So subatomic, when you zoom in on the nucleus. So those two photons. And you take these two photons and they are entangled in one nucleus. And they may have been like this entangled for a very long time. You don't know. Maybe for trillions of years, who knows? And so they take these two photons and they separate. I don't know how they're able to do this. They have certain machines that they also developed. They were able to separate these two photons, and it wouldn't matter how far one goes with one photon away from the other photon. That is their partner. That is photon 1 is separated from photon 2, and their partner photons. And no matter how far one photon is brought away, miles and miles away, hundreds of miles, they took one away from the other. And they found out that whatever happens to one photon simultaneously happens to the other photon as well. So how do you explain something like this? And now this opens up the door to real fast research now in the field of quantum computers and quantum technology, and that really helps the AGI development now, which is fantastic. Now, just one last thought I had earlier while I was making the video. If you take one photon, let's say, to Mars and leave one on Earth, then is that what happens to one photon also simultaneously happening to the other photon, or is there a delay happening? So that would be another question to bring up for the researchers. So could that be something that we could find out? I'm sure we can in the future. So definitely they can at least, with another shipment of a rover, they can transport one of the photons there and then see what happens in that photon container with that photon, if they do something specific with the photon that is the photon partner here on Earth. And then can they observe that this was actually happening to that other photon simultaneously. I know that the transmission of information is already delayed now, just because it is delayed because of the current technology that we have. So even if that happened simultaneously, the information of that would be delayed coming to Earth by a couple of minutes, of course. I don't know how many minutes, 10 minutes or something. But in technical terms, like if you were on Mars and you were observing the test photon, or if you were observing the photon that is being tested, that is being observed in that moment, and while the other photon was being experimented with, then would you be able to see an instant happening with that other photon? Would that other photon behave in exactly the same pattern as the one that has been tested, that has been operated with, or in some form, that had something done to it? I don't know what they use. They use microwave, or they use radiation, or something that may touch that photon or make that photon spin or move or something, or put heat on it or something. And would that other photon behave then in exactly the same spinning movement, and so on? So that's a question to bring up, Or is there also a delay not just through is there a delay not just through the instantness of the photon behavior, but through and not through the technical conveying of the information, but also because time fizzles out when you go out away from the planet. So that's another question. Can we have the same time experience on Mars? So Mars has much less gravity, for example. Is time dependent on gravity? That's another question to raise. But I don't want to make the video too long. So anyway, my message is, let's make the world a better place. Okay, everyone can do it. It's important that we do it. Do your part. Okay, peace out.